Hey everyone, today we're going to learn how to make a few different kinds of melted crayon art. And if you like our arts and crafts how-to, hit that subscribe button because we have more content on the way.
So the first step you guys are going to want to do is align your crayons at the top of your canvas. So usually people like to do rainbows, but we decided to do a monochromatic scheme. So we're starting with black and we're going through gray and ending up with white. So you kind of measure it off the canvas and then you can start seeing how it would look on the actual canvas itself. You know, maybe play around with spacing. And another important thing to remember is that when they melt, the colors next to each other will probably blend into each other and create like a brownish color. So it's probably best that you glue similar shades next to each other and make everything gradually change color. So for example, I didn't just use one black crayon, one gray, one white. I used 4 or 5 of each color so that it can, you know, blend evenly. So once you have the crayons arranged the way you want it to, it's time to use the hot glue gun and glue them.
Put some newspaper or garbage bags on the surface where you're working. So if you're working at the table, if you're going to be doing things over the floor, make sure you put down some kind of garbage bags or newspapers in case things get messy or things drip too much. This way you'll be able to clean up more easily. With a hot glue gun, glue each crayon to the top of your canvas. It's up to you if you want the name of the color of the crayon to show, or if you want the Crayola logo to show, if you want them to all look the same. Totally up to you. So we're going to glue the crayons. We're putting glue over the color name of the crayon so that when we flip them over, you get essentially trying to get close to having the Crayola logo showing up. I kind of screwed that one up, but yeah, it's not exactly over the color, but maybe right above the color. There we go. And then we place them down. Hold it in place for a couple seconds to give the hot glue time to set a little bit. And then carry on. Ooh, that burned.
So that one's not gonna go.
Now, tilt the canvas up so that you can melt the wax down. Now, with this next part, it's up to you whether you use a heat gun or a hair dryer. For best results, we suggest using a heat gun because if you use a hair dryer, the wax splatters a little bit and tends to be more drippy. Last time we did this, we did use a hair dryer and again, the wax did splatter a bunch, so we do suggest using a heat gun so that you have better control over the way the wax melts.
So what you're going to do is aim the heat gun towards the tip of the crayons until the wax drips down. So here we go. We can set it to low if you had a professional heat gun. So it takes a little bit of time to get it to start dripping because it has to melt, obviously. But still do one section at a time, going across. And even though they're not dripping down all the way, we're going to get back to that. We just want the initial drip. If it's not dripping down fully, you could help it along down the canvas.
It's like a race. Which one's going to get there first?
If you want to keep it even, you slowly follow it down. Okay. Now, we're at this point where we like how the drips are, but we want to be a little bit more creative. And what you can do to be more creative is that when you have the heat gun and you want to spread it out more, you can point it at it. So we're going to try that. So what they say is you want to be parallel with the crayons to make it spread. So
This was an artistic choice.
Definitely was. The other creative thing you can do is that once it dries, you can add layers on top of it. So with ours, you can see right now that there are layered drippings. So if we wanted to put more, we would melt it some more and then wait for that layer to dry. And even do it again, have one more pass with the heat gun. If you want to add splatters, they say to hold the heat gun at least an inch or two away from the canvas. Well, we like how it looks, everyone agrees. And you can let the wax cool. It takes less than an hour to cool, and you want to keep it tilted like this. So you gotta put it against some kind of a cabinet or something, or wall, obviously. And yeah, now you got your crayon art.
So I'm going to show you how to make a heart-shaped crayon art. We drew the outline of the heart just so that I would have something to follow, because otherwise I probably would not make it symmetrical in the slightest, and it would just look really wonky. So I'm gonna start with salmon crayon because I want pink to be in the middle of my heart. And I'm going for a kind of symmetrical thing. So on each side of the salmon crayon, my center crayon, I'm gonna have the same color. And going in the colors of the rainbow, going from pink to red down through the rainbow on both sides. So I'm gonna try to put the bottom of the little squiggle, or the bottom of the black frame around the squiggle, on my outline. And I have a lot of colors, so I'm gonna see how well I can space them. Only one shade of yellow because I'm not a yellow person, so you can definitely customize this to favor shades of colors that you like more. Yeah, I'm definitely not a yellow person, but I am a green person, so I have 3 different greens going here. Now that I have everything laid out the way that I want it, I'm worried that I'm probably going to bang into it as I am picking things up to glue them, so I'm just taking a pencil and making a little dot where all of the points are, so that if things do shift, or in the event that I forget which way I wanted the crayon to go from the time I pick it up to put the glue on to the time I'm trying to bring it back down to glue it, I can remember where I wanted it to be. Alright, so you're going to take your hot glue gun and you're going to hold it very carefully so that you can apply glue to one side of your crayon. Not that crayons really have sides because they're round, but... Alright, so now I've glued everything down. The glue still needs to dry a little bit, but we'll hold it up. And this is what I ended up with so far. So my crayons did shift a little bit, but putting the dots down did help. And I'm really excited to melt it. So I'm going to use the hairdryer to do my melting of the crayons. And we have the diffuser attachment on to try to control what's happening a little bit more. So I'm going to start with this side, and we're going to work our way around and rotate the canvas so that things drip straight. Alright, let's pause for a second. So we see here the hairdryer gave us a more splattered look, and even with the diffuser attachment on, it is splattering some of the other crayons that I'm not trying to get right now, but it's going to make for a really cool effect when we're done. And this is also why it's very handy to have garbage bag or newspaper around, because with the hairdryer, things do get pretty messy. So at this point, if you're doing a design like this, you want to pause about halfway through and give your canvas a little bit of time to dry so that your colors on the other side don't bleed into what you already have. This is what it looks like right now. I think it came out really cool. You've got a nice gradient of colors, and it looks really nice and bright, actually. So I'm really glad that I picked I'm really glad that I picked bright crayons. I'm so glad I can't even express how happy I am. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna tilt the canvas just this way a little bit on an angle. We're not gonna rotate it now, but we're just gonna blow it a little bit so that we get some color on the inside of the heart too. If you're doing designs like this, you could do whatever you want inside the heart. If you want to paint all of this one totally different color, maybe if you want to paint it all black and have all your nice color on the outside, if you want to paint an image in here, put a quote in here, that's totally up to you. You have full creative license with this. So this is our finished project. We got a little bit of color on the inside, a lot of cool color and splatter on the outside. I think it looks fantastic.
One of the other options you can do, if you want to be creative, is you can put the crayons at the top of the canvas and write out a word. For this is a 16 by 20 canvas, I believe. And so on this, we could only fit about 3 to 4 letters. So what I'm gonna do, since I like EDM, it was suggested I should write EDM. So I realize now the easiest thing is to trace the letters out first, much like how Josephine did with tracing out the heart. Also, try to figure out how much space you want empty on both sides and go from there too. Okay, so I'm done putting on EDM. My M's really crappy, but that's okay. Now I'm gonna put the paint masking tape on the letters so that they don't get affected by the wax. So I put the paint masking tape on the EDM here. And the next step is putting the crayons at the top. And flip this around. And I already have them laid out for me, so I'm just gonna start hot gluing them. Do we want the color now? I'll put on Crayon.
I have no.
Oh, shit.
Wow, Liz, I'm gonna glue it and you're gonna hold it together. No, it's gonna melt if I do that.
So now we're gonna take the hair dryer, we're gonna put it on super hot and super high and see how this goes. So now we have the finished thing. It's really hard actually to get the paint to drip over the masking tape because I did put almost a second layer of masking tape because sometimes the masking tape will peel up, so it's always good to put a double layer. Now the next part is peeling it off after it's dried, so I'm gonna wait a few minutes for it to dry a bit, and then I'm gonna peel the masking tape up. Alright, so it is fairly dry. I'm gonna peel up the paint masking tape. And I'm gonna do it slowly so that I don't accidentally peel the drips.
Gives it the work in progress look.
Alright, and there you have it with crayon art with letters. You do see the outlines that I made because I didn't have the paint drip all the way at some points. But what you can do, if you don't have paint on it and you see the pencil lines, you could... Wait, actually, never mind, because if you erase it, you won't even know so much that's the letter unless you had paint all the way. So this is a good start for letters.
Yeah, if you want to finish the letter outline, you can definitely paint.
Oh yeah, you can paint it in. You could trace it in with black paint or whatever color you want. But yeah, this is how...
I kind of like it though. It kind of gives that edgy look when you have the pencil outline of the letter. I like it a lot. Okay, so I'm doing crayon art with a graphic on the canvas. So what I did was I cut out the image that I wanted. Okay, maybe you cut it out on regular paper, maybe you cut it out on thicker paper. And then I used hot glue to glue this down. I just gotta finish up gluing it down onto the canvas. Okay, so once you have glued it down onto the canvas, then you can go about setting up your crayons onto this. I have already figured out what crayons I want to use for it, and I'm going to set them up. Okay. And once you figure out where exactly you want them to be, then you can start gluing them down like you would with any other. My canvas is obviously going to be a landscape canvas, so it's pretty cool. Okay. So for mine, I used a graphic that I glued onto the board. And when you have that, you need to find a cover of some sort that is larger than the image if you don't want that image to be covered with the hot wax. So I used a lid, and as you can see, it fits pretty much perfectly over the image. And when the melted wax comes down, it's going to go around that image and probably make a mess of it, but I'm interested to see what happens. So when you're doing this, you're going to need someone to hold it like this for you, to hold this lid for you, to make it work while you use the hairdryer. And it's important when going between projects to make sure well, first of all, you need the diffuser for the hairdryer, but to make sure that you clean the diffuser if it gets any wax on it, because then that wax could come off into your new project. So between projects, please clean the diffuser.
Hot wax burns.
Yeah.
My arm, I was like, oh.
So if you are the person holding the cover, you're definitely gonna want to be wearing long sleeve or a plastic bag like I am. We didn't think that one through. So safety first.
That looks cool.
Okay. Okay, so we went a little bit hard. I went hard on this one. Used the dryer for a long time to kind of make these colors blend together. And then when you're done, you gotta wait for it to dry before you pull the cover off. In this case, we kind of waxed it all together. Looks kind of cool like that, actually. Looks kind of okay. But then we got to pull it off. show you, wait till it dries a little bit. And if you don't like the scraps on the bottom, you can always just peel them off. It is wax, it will come off if you peel it, like these chunky pieces. And you can see you could do it a different way. On this side of the canvas, on the bottom, you see it's very one textured, but up here it's kind of like different types of textures, thickish. Yeah, and you guys could end up picking whatever colors you want. And then at the end, you're going to take off the cover. For us, this is going to be a problem because what ends up happening is the wax around the cover solidifies. So unlike us, you should probably take your cover off as soon as you can before it gets, there we go. So there's the cover, kind of looks much cooler than it started out with. And this ends up being our final piece. Not too bad if I say so myself. So as you can see, we all kind of picked very different types of crayon art to do, each that represented our own personalities. So we hope you guys have a creative time.
So I hope you made some cool melted crayon art. You could do it with your friends or family, or you could even make it for them like we did with this Star Wars one. We made this for our friend and we hope he really likes it. And if you like this video, give us a thumbs up below. And for more how-tos, please subscribe.